Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Odoo and NMT partnered webinar. Today, we are here to present something that we believe is very interesting and relevant to those of us who are in the industry in the Singapore market. And so we want to be able to cover how to stop profit leaks and recover your manufacturing and field services margins with Odoo. And that is going to be the main topic that we will be covering today. So before we go into all the content and all the juicy materials of the day, a really quick introduction for who we are. My name is Peter, and I am the Odoo Partner Manager. I look after the Singapore market, and I have been in this sector for a couple of years now. And we have over here Nicholas from joining us from New Media Technology. And so we have the honor to present these materials to you today. So before we get started, we put together a very quick one-question poll just to get a sense of where everyone is coming from. It's anonymous. It takes about 5 seconds. You can scan the QR code on the screen or use the link in the chat that we're going to be sending out. And we're going to be using the responses to guide parts of the session later on. So if you have your phone handy, feel free to scan and submit. It's just one question. And the one question that we really care about today is, where is your margin being lost in your business operations? So I'll keep the screen on for around 5 more seconds, and then later on we'll be moving forward. Okay, I believe that most of us have filled out the questionnaire. So a really quick agenda for the rundown today is, 1, who are we? And 2, some statistics that we find very interesting from the Singapore market. And 3, we have prepared a live demo for us. And number 4 is we have some time at the end for Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar that you will want to ask, don't wait till the very end. Feel free to type out the questions, let us know in the YouTube chat, and then we'll be making sure to make time to answer and respond to those questions later on. So first of all, what is Odoo as a product? Well, Odoo is, to simply put, an all-in-one management software that is beautiful and very easy to use. So it started with our founder, Fabian. That we wanted to make sure to help companies grow and to unleash the company's potential by empowering users with the tools that they love. And so a couple of key highlights that Odoo was able to achieve is we were able to be named as the Enterprise of the Year in 2021. And we actually were able to hit our unicorn status. And we were able to be known as the best open source CRM of 2022, and also having strategic partnership with KPMG on the side as well. Our global presence is also quite a resume. We have over 19 offices worldwide. We have over 8,000 official partners and 60 million happy users that are using our software. Just a couple of testimonials that we have on our screen is these are the different corporations and also organizations that are using Odoo throughout the globe. And these are people that we really are honored to call them as our customers and our clients. So I think the question for us today is, after all that, after all introducing who Odoo really is about, how can Odoo really help your business and your enterprise today? And that is the question that we want to know and the solution that we want to be able to provide. Well, really quickly, we realize that a lot of the enterprises nowadays are using different standalone softwares. There's one software used for CRM, one software used for leads management, one software used for accounting, one software used for sales, procurement, supplies vendor. And what Odoo really does is we eliminate all the friction in between the separate systems, and we put it on all-in-one solution. And so this is something where we realize that a lot of the businesses spend many marginal costs to make sure that all these systems are built in together, when in reality, we could eliminate that using Odoo. Our positioning is to make sure that we cover complex business needs with extremely user-friendly interface. And so we recognize that there are competitors in the ERP industry, and we are open to discussing that. But however, we also believe in our positioning to providing user-friendly interfaces for complex business needs. So what are the business needs? Well, Odoo, we are able to cover over more than 70 apps on one single platform. And that is something where we are very proudly to present, and something that we are also willing to offer to business clients as a solution as well. And so that is all about who Odoo really is and what Odoo has to offer and the solutions that Odoo provides. And so I wanted to do a really quick introduction to who New Media Technology really is. And so A quick introduction to New Media Technology. They are co-hosting this session, Nicholas representing, and New Media Technology really brings a strong experience in implementation and business process design, with a practical focus on helping businesses translate platform capability into day-to-day operations. So in the next segment, later on towards the end, Nicholas will be taking us through the perspective a little bit more concretely, not just what the systems can do, but how can it be applied to address real operational needs in manufacturing and field services? So we'll be doing that after the next portion, which is I wanted to go into a little bit more on the Singapore statistics for today. So after doing a little bit of a digging, in 2025, a really interesting statistics in Singapore industry is these are the users by industry that are currently using our Odoo systems. And if you notice, in the top three are manufacturing and also trading. And why do we want to highlight this is because we realize that amongst the users that are using Odoo in 2025, manufacturing is actually one of the biggest industries that are being involved in. And so recognizing that, we want to make sure that we also foresee it in the upcoming year for 2026, which we actually see is still the case and still the trend. Manufacturing is still being in the top three industries in 2026. So that being all said, what does it really mean for us as Odoo to really meet the needs for the industry of manufacturing? So something that Odoo is also actively exploring in the process is how can we not only stay in the old ways, but looking ahead, how can Odoo integrate AI tools in Odoo? Now, we all know about AI being the new buzzword and also being the new trend nowadays to hop on. And so if we look at Odoo's AI strategy in a single page, the core philosophy really is to see how native integration is implemented in Odoo's AI. And so unlike other ERPs that require external plugins or many complex setups, Odoo has integrated intelligence directly into the user interface. So if I were to break this down into three different pillars, one, the first pillar is going to be creative automation, where we are now moving away from a blank page syndrome, and by embedding different AI modules and AI tools, AI codings, Odoo now allows users to generate entire websites, professional emails, and also custom imagery from a single prompt. This turns every employee into a content creator. The second pillar that we wanted to explore more of is the operational intelligence. And this is where the ROI is the most visible. In accounting, for example, the AI doesn't just scan documents, it actually understands them. It identifies the vendors as well as the taxes automatically. And most importantly, it features a self-learning tool. If you correct it once, it remembers that logic, effectively training your ERP to handle your specific business rules. The third thing is predictive strategy. Odoo uses your historical data to look forward. It ranks your sales leads by their likelihood to close and predicts inventory bottlenecks before they even happen. The learning curve for the software itself has been shortened significantly. In short, Odoo AI is not about replacing your team. It's about removing the administrative work that really holds your margins back so that your team can focus on the high value strategy. And that is where we are today, where we want to focus on how we can remove the marginal profit losses for your needs, especially in the manufacturing and field service industry. So now I'll be passing the time to NNT, who has actually prepared us a really quick demonstration today for how exactly Odoo is able to showcase. So Nick, over to you.
Thanks, Peter, and thanks everyone for joining us today. I think that sets the stage very nicely. From NMP's perspective, the real question is, sorry, I think my screen is not showing just yet. All right, okay. The real question is not just what the platform can do, but how a business actually uses it to solve operational issues that are hurting performance. A lot of companies are not losing margins in a big dramatic way. It usually happens through many small gaps across operations, such as missed billables, weak tracking, disconnected teams, inconsistent processes, or poor visibility on the ground. So our role at NNT is really to help bridge that gap, not just to implement software, but to help businesses put in place a system and workflow design that is practical, usable, and aligned to how they actually operate. What I'd like to do next is walk through where some of these leaks typically happen, especially in manufacturing and field service, and how they can be addressed more strategically. But before I do so, let's take a quick look at the poll. I can see that most of the margins are spread between lack of visibility, inefficient processes, and untracked work and material. So that's interesting insights. I've prepared a demo to address these problems accordingly. Okay, so just to share a bit about NMT, we bring about 15 years of business engineering experience. Our focus is not just software deployment, but helping businesses translate operational needs into practical systems and workflows. Our approach is transformation-led. We see implementation as business engineering, not just feature activation. And a key part of what we do is helping clients decide what should stay standard, what can be configured, and what truly needs customization. Because in the end, the value is not just in installing the software, it is in making sure it actually works for the business. So just to bring this to life with a real example, this is a regional glass and facade contractor with a commercial site in Singapore and production in Malaysia. Their business is quite custom and project driven, covering things like tempered glass door sets, laminated panels, and site-related services. They were already using Odoo, so this is not a case of starting from zero. The platform was there, but it had not fully taken flight across the business. What was missing was better alignment across the workflow, from sales to operations, to manufacturing, to service, to reporting. While they did have the technology in place, the business still needed the right workflow design and operating model behind it, right? That is where implementation starts to matter. As we look more closely, several pressure points become clear. The handover from sales to operations was not always clean. Project information was often scattered, and because the work was custom in nature, jobs were harder to run consistently. Documentation across quality and operations was also not always well structured, while field service work remained quite informal, with extra materials and additional work not always being fully captured. All of this created not just operational friction, but also gaps in visibility around performance and profitability. Let me switch into a quick demo to show how we approach this in a more practical and connected way. Okay, so the journey begins here in the CRM, where sales staff create and track and communicate with customers through the CRM system, capturing notes, conversations, and requirements. I'm going to create a new lead right now. So this is where you create a description for the opportunity. And more often than not, you will communicate on the CRM record as well. So at this juncture, one small AI demo here is that you can use AI to generate messages to send out, right? A very practical example for day-to-day communications, right? So you can actually create a follow-up answer and it will generate the information for you to send out without spending too much time to generate the message, right? Okay. And you can use this to send it out, okay? Okay, so instead of manually writing rough notes, the system structures it into something clear and professional. And this helps improve consistency and saves time for the team. All right. And similarly, AI can be used to summarize information to hand over between teams, right? So I'm going to switch over. Okay, to summarize, and instead of passing raw notes, we can structure it into something more usable for operations and or management to understand the situation behind. Now switching back to my demo. Okay, so from the opportunity, we can quickly create quotations and send it over to the client for their review, right? And for common requests, quotation templates can be used to speed things up. What's important here is not just the quotation, but how each line drives downstream operations. Let me elaborate. Okay, the first line, the facade installation, this creates a project governed by milestones for billing, right? The second one is a custom frame tempered glass. This triggers a back-to-back order with the Malaysian sister entity for production. The third one, an on-site glass maintenance visit. This creates a field service task. You also notice analytical tags, right? Created here. This helps distribute the revenue and cost to the right cost centers for reporting later. Okay. From a single click, all the downstream records will be created. Okay. I'll now walk through how each parts flow. Okay. In here, this project was created using templates. Okay, so the structure is already predefined. Okay, for this demo, I'll complete one task and mark a milestone as done, and this will tie it into invoicing later. Notice how the audit trail captures everything. Okay. Okay, so an AI mentioned down here, we can also configure AI agents, right, to support the workflow automation. For example, auto-assigning tasks based on skills, workload, or context, right? I'm moving on now to the purchase order with the Malaysian entity. So down here, we have a back-to-back order with the production plant in Malaysia. Okay, in this case, the PO is created to the Malaysian entity. Upon confirmation, a corresponding sales order will be created in the Malaysia side. This reduces manual entry and minimizes communication errors, right? Okay, so let me confirm. PO 25. Flipping over to the Malaysian entity. Okay. PO 25 from the Singapore entity. My customer is the Singapore entity. And these are my order lines for the custom frame tempered glass door set. Once I confirm this, it will create the corresponding logistics and production orders. Right? From here, production and logistics records are generated. We now have a manufacturing order ready with components clearly shown. Those that are available and not available. So let me process this to continue the demo. Okay, let me process the RFQs to stock in the raw materials. Coming back to the manufacturing order, everything is in place. Now, before I go on to process the manufacturing order, Okay, let me highlight a few points. Okay, this BOM has been set up to consume these raw materials, and the process flow to produce the final finished product is planned down here with its BOM. Now, let me plan the MO and open up the shop floor. In here, I can include the other operators, and they can proceed to process the order. At the quality check point, this is where you can enforce instructions to check on the finished product or semi-finished product to ensure that it meets quality demands. Once it's completed, the manufacturing order would have produced the finished goods for further processing. Now, before going any further, I would like to have a few mentions about how AI can facilitate at this juncture. So AI can be tapped on production front in several ways. Here are some examples to name a few. From the MO list, we can ask AI to suggest which jobs to prioritize. This helps supervisors quickly decide what to act on first, instead of scanning through jobs manually. From work orders, AI can analyze queues and delays to highlight bottlenecks. This helps surface issues early instead of spending time hunting for them. We can configure AI agents to flag MOs with issues, delays, missing components, or QC failures. This allows teams to be proactive rather than reactive. From QC data, AI can identify recurring issues or patterns. Capturing QC data is one thing, but the real value is in the insights it can bring. AI can summarize manufacturing status across jobs. This is useful for managers overseeing multiple orders at once. Right? Going back to the demo. Returning to the original sales order in the Malaysian entity, my finished goods is now ready to go out the door. Returning back to the Singapore entity, I can receive the finished goods from my sister company in Malaysia and send it over to the customer. At this stage, there's a few things to highlight at this point. One is that the custom-made product has been delivered, is ready to be invoiced, and for the milestone that I cleared earlier, which is there's 3 been set up, so we've cleared 1/3 of the milestone, and that quantity shows up here. At this stage, with the work completed and the milestones achieved, we can generate the invoice. You notice that invoicing is directly tied to delivered quantities and completed milestones. This ensures alignment between operations and billing. Okay, a slide mentioned down here on invoicing, on how it can help, on how AI can help. Right, we can trigger AI to check if the invoice aligns with the delivered work, milestones, and services. This helps reduce missed billables where leakage usually happens. AI can generate a clear explanation of the invoice for the customer, right? And this improves communication and reduces disputes. Let's go back to the demo. Okay, now moving on into field service. This is where on-site work is captured. This is the field service that was created. Okay, so on-site work is captured here. Any additional materials that are used, they can be recorded directly here. Okay. And we can use structured worksheets to capture service activity. AI can also help draft technician notes to form professional service reports. This helps keep communication clear while allowing technicians to stay focused on the job. Customer acknowledgement can happen immediately on site. These are the details of the field service, the worksheet that was filled in, the technician that administered the worksheet, and the customer can sign the report here. From here, the reports can be sent and additional items can be billed accordingly. Okay, now that everything's completed, let's look at the results. So the question becomes, what did we actually make? This was the full details. Okay. And we now have visibility of project cost and profitability. And analytical data across every step of the process. Okay, so some AI mentions at this point where AI can help. Okay, so AI can summarize revenue cost and margin for the project. This helps management quickly understand performance. AI highlights unusual costs or margin pressure. This helps identify where things may have gone off track. AI explains cost structure in simple terms. This is useful for non-finance users to understand where costs are coming from. AI compares performance across projects. This helps identify patterns, what works and what needs improvement. AI agents can continuously monitor projects and flag those at risk for low margins. This allows teams to take action earlier. All of this is possible because of proper tagging and structure from the start. So operational data flows through into meaningful financial insight. So this is how the entire flow connects, from CRM to operations, to delivery, to invoicing, and finally to reporting. And that's really where the difference starts to show. So if I were to summarize the outcome, it comes down to four things, right? Better customer engagement, better coordination between sales and production, better reporting across production and billing, and better cost visibility across both production and projects. And these are usually the areas where businesses start to see the real impact. To sum up, Odoo brings the powerful platform to connect the businesses. AI helps improve efficiency across daily work, but ultimately, the outcome depends on how all of this is brought together in a way that fits the business. So, if we were to take that one step further, right? For businesses that are looking to move in this direction, whether it's improving visibility, tightening operations, or implementing a system like this, there are actually a number of support schemes available in Singapore to help with that journey. Some of the more common ones include the Productivity Solutions Grant, or PSG, the Enterprise Development Grant, or EDG, and for training and capability building, the NTUC Company Training Committee Grant, CTC. And from our side at NMT, we've been involved in supporting clients across these grants, both in terms of structuring the solution appropriately and helping align the implementation to meet the requirements. So it's not just about the tools themselves. It's about making sure the project is scoped properly and positioned in a way that the business can take advantage of these support schemes where relevant. Because at the end of the day, having the technology is one thing, but getting it to work in a way that actually fits the business, that's usually where the real challenge is. So I'll pause here for now. And if there are any questions, whether it's around workflow, the demo, or even how this might apply in your own context, I'll be happy to take them.
Thanks, Nick. Actually, like while you were demonstrating, there were some questions that jumped in as well, and I'm gonna ask them on behalf of the people tuning in, and hopefully, we can expand, and these conversations can provide some more value and some more benefits for your business operations as well. So, I think the AI part is something that's really compelling, and one of the questions that came up is, in our experience, or Nick, with your experience in terms of implementing it. Where do the teams actually end up using the AI features the most?
Well, right now, it's mostly in small but frequent tasks. Things like drafting emails, summarizing notes, helping structure information. Not so much the decision making, but more of helping users move faster and be clearer in what they're doing. And when that sits inside a proper workflow, the impact becomes quite noticeable. To wholly rely on AI for decision making is not something businesses are ready to jump on from the get-go. This takes time to understand what the technology can do. However, where AI can make decisions would be in areas where the scope is finite and outcomes are predictable and limited. Then AI accelerates that process without causing too much of a concern when parameters become too varied.
Yeah. Well, that's very insightful, and I think like going on the lines of AI, like, are the AI features more so? Do you need a specific module, like whether it's integration, or do you need to download another app to get access to it, or is this something that is usage based? I'm assuming it's more so. Is it already integrated in the Odoo system, or the features that you mentioned, or is there any additional customization that's needed based on your experience? How much more intuitive is it now when it's out of the box versus do I need to integrate other external integrations into it?
All right, that's a very good question. One thing I've noticed during the demo earlier, there were several times that I could actually call upon the AI agent to invoke AI to help me and bring me to the right place within the system. So Odoo 19 especially comes this integrated with the AI agents right out of the box. Now, where that does is that it's able to invoke certain tools and actions on Odoo platform, while until that stretches its limits, that's where customization is explored, whereby the workflows are a little bit more finite and a little bit more niche. That's where we step in to help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that we could probably help give the people tuning in a more of a gauge, like in terms of your experience and your understanding, how much customization are we talking about that is usually needed? Are we looking at a complete overhaul of a system? Because I think most of the companies or most of the business operations, their main fear is, do we need to overhaul everything with so much customization going on, or can we implement a system out of the box, and could it work with our existing system? Do we have to throw away our current system? How does that usually look like in terms of integrating and also customization as well? Because I think that's where most business fear comes in when we're introducing a new operation system.
Well, this is a very common question we get out in the field. Yeah, that's one thing. You don't have to. That's the beauty about using Odoo and the inbuilt features of Odoo. Because Odoo is a full-fledged system on its own, you don't really need to overhaul everything. In fact, most of the time, it's better to take it step by step. Start with an MVP. Try something simple and progressively grow, because Odoo is modular. Odoo is scalable, so it's all ready to grow as and when you are with the technology. Start with areas with the biggest impact, maybe visibility, maybe coordination within teams, then build from there. Trying to change everything at once usually creates more disruption than value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's great, Nick. I think we are running a little bit out of time. So, if any of the people tuning in, you feel like today's conversation was helpful for you, then feel free to scan the QR code and schedule an appointment with an MT. We are more than welcome to be able to explore more of the discussions, and I'm sure by then we can have a more detailed one-on-one consultation with you. And so, from here, we wanted to thank everyone for your time, and please do reach out to us. Don't be shy. We are friendly, and we're more than happy to converse with you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.